never sweat. The clock's ticking, watch the minutes turn to sec. Number one contender, homie, I don't plan to find me in the end zone flex.
Let's take a look at the headlines in the AFC North. The Bengals finished 2018 with only 6 wins. So Marvis Lewis is out. Zach Taylor in to lead Andy Dalton and Cincinnati. The Chargers, the team with the most hype heading into 2019. And Stephen A's Steelers enter the post-LeVeon and AB era. Big Ben and Mike Tomlin agree to extensions this offseason as they try to lead Pittsburgh back to the postseason. It's our AFC North division preview, and we welcome back former Washington running back Clinton Portis. Thanks for sticking with us.
No problem.
All right, I'm going to start with you, Damian.
The North favorites right now. Listen, I know a talented wide receiver. They got Jarvis Landry opposite of him, Nick Chubb in the backfield, Baker Mayfield.
Keep going.
Listen, all those things.
Kareem Hunt, keep going.
Kareem Hunt, I absolutely. Once he serves his suspension, they got pieces on the defensive side.
That.
Listen, all of that, David Njoku, all of that sounds great. But Clinton, you and I both know, it's one thing to accumulate pieces. It's another thing to put together a team. Okay, and what you have in Cleveland right now is you have a first-year head coach in Freddie Kitchen with humongous expectations for an organization that, quite honestly, hasn't done squat in years. Since they've come back, as far as a franchise in Cleveland. Here's the deal with the Cleveland Browns. When you hear all this noise, players hear all this noise. You know. When we come up on the schedule, we coming.
You're gonna try hard.
We won a Super Bowl the year after. Ask them how hard it is. That best from every team. You know that. Listen, there are times I won 2 Super Bowls. There are times the year after Super Bowl.
Show off.
Hey, if I'm gonna put it out there. Listen, the year after you won the Super Bowl, you will watch a team on film and you be like, this team ain't really about nothing. But then you go out there and play them, and guess what? They're playing you like it's their Super. Animal, totally different expectations.
Okay. Listen, the Cleveland Browns are not without question marks. I think the Odell trade, remember the first part of that trade happened like a week before when they got Olivier Vernon, which actually really helps the defense. Myles Garrett and Olivier Vernon and Denzel Ward. They got studs everywhere, both sides of the ball. They're real. But you had to lose Zeitler, who's an elite pass-blocking guard, and offensive line play takes a little while. Pass-blocking guard and offensive line play takes a little while to gel. And early in the season, you have a rough couple games, and all of a sudden it can start to snowball. Before I even get to the roster, they were 7-8-1 last year. But Hugh Jackson was the coach for the first half of the season. Baker Mayfield did not throw to one open receiver the whole first half of the season. What happens as soon as they got rid of Hugh Jackson? Elite. And now you put Odell Beckham Jr. This is not like super teams don't work in football. Usually that's because the name brand is really past his best days by the time you get him in a trade or a free agent. Odell Beckham Jr. may not even be in his prime up for the first time, I didn't even realize it was him. I was like, yeah, Todd Gurley is all that. And then, Gurley's hurt. That's Nick Chubb. And Kareem Hunt's just about as good as it gets. He's going to be available in the second half. I mentioned the guys on the defense. So when you look at a team that had a good winning record in the second half of a season before they got the other pass rusher and the elite wideout and the quarterback in his second year, Pittsburgh has less talent than they did. You look at the Ravens, you're not quaking in your boots. Cincinnati, it's the same old story. Yes,
that they lost one of their best players. Duke Johnson is a weapon. He's a beast. He's going to be outstanding for the Houston Texans. You lose him. Njoku, I'm high on. Olivier Vernon. All these guys from the U. All right? So I'm high on these guys. What people don't understand is you lost Greg Williams, right? A lot of people can't take Greg Williams as a head coach. They can't take him as a coach. He's hard on you. He's gonna speak his mind. He's not the friendliest guy, but he's a great. For a guy like myself or Sean Taylor, we love Greg Williams, having him in the building because he's an honest individual. So I could go out and play for him. I think the new coach that they just brought in, I'm not sure how they respond to Kitchens. So I'm looking at the Baltimore Ravens in this division. Lamar Jackson, upside. You add Mark on expectations because you can't key on anybody. You got Mark Ingram standing next to Lamar Jackson. We know Mark Ingram can play football. You have Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram in the backfield. If you bite on an RPO, guess what? Hollywood Brown is already downfield. They have the receivers. You look at Snead. The defense, the pedigree is there. You just bring in Earl Thomas. So the Baltimore Ravens will win this division. Now you look at Cleveland. Why can't Cleveland win this division? They don't have an offensive line. You lost your best offensive line.
But they got a second-round pick ready to take over. I mean, it might take a minute, but they have.
You know what, Max? Listen, earlier in the show, when we were talking about the Dallas Cowboys, and I brought the fact that I picked the Cowboys to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl, and one of your never in his 12-year tenure with the Pittsburgh Steelers has had a losing season. You don't think in Pittsburgh, with all the noise that they've been hearing about the Cleveland Browns and everything that they had to go through the Pittsburgh Steelers. Both of those organizations have been listening nonstop. They won't say it because that's just how those organizations are. They've been listening nonstop about how people are touting the Cleveland Browns, a team that hasn't done anything in the AFC North.
But this
they've
is
been
a team
hearing
that
it
was
all. They've been hearing it all season long.
This was a team that was a tie away from a 500 record before all the improvements. And guys, I understand what you're saying. As I the job done, but wherever you point to a guy in Baltimore, I can point to a guy in Cleveland who's just better.
So let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
You can only point to receivers that's better. When you look at Landry and you look at OBJ, now those receivers are outstanding. I don't think Chubb is better than Mark Ingram at this point.
I do.
No.
And by the way, Kareem Hunt for the second half of the season.
That's for the second half of the season.
I think they got two guys better than Ingram, and I like
Let me
Ingram.
ask you a question. Does coaching matter in the NFL more so than anything?
Yes.
So you willing to put Freddie Kitchens up against up against Harbaugh?
Let's not. You're right. That is an unknown. That's an X factor.
Isn't that like the ultimate mismatch in this whole equation?
No, that's an X factor. And you
Wait a minute,
might be
X
right.
factor?
I'll tell you why. You might be right to take a conservative approach and say proven versus unproven. Super Bowl coaches versus a guy we don't know about. However, I will point out McVay, Peterson, Nagy. There are a lot of young coaches getting shots for the first time in the NFL that are killing it. And usually their offensive.
going to Denver. I think he's going to be outstanding in that position. But you're only going to find so many of these guys. It's always the what have you done for me lately? Everybody going model after whoever wins the Super Bowl. Now you get Sean McVay, take his team to the Super Bowl. Everyone wants the next Sean McVay. You're not going to find him. All these, okay, we're going to go find a young coach with the same Sean McVay pedigree. No, Sean McVay was a proven guy. Like, you look at him work his Sean McVay landed in a great situation.
Question for both of you, just real quick. I hope it's okay.
Go ahead, Max.
What's your gut tell you about the way, coaching aside, like a lot of stars, a lot of people want the ball, this and that. My gut tells me when I look at Cleveland, they're going to do just fine. Like, when you have that many ballers all in their prime, if Odell doesn't get the ball, his boy Jarvis Landry got the ball. What are you going to argue if you're Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt gets the ball? Like, game, recognized game. And there's so much game on that team, all in their primes. My gut tells me that's actually going to work. What does your gut tell you about the Eagles?
I want it to work. I want to see the best for OBJ. I want to see the best for Landry. I want the Cleveland Browns to be relevant. The only issue is I love the Baltimore Ravens style of play. I love the Baltimore Ravens, the intangibles of the Ravens. I love Lamar Jackson. The defense, you know, is going to bring it. The Ravens are the one team that's stable, the stability. You lose your best player on defense and safety, you bring in Earl Thomas. They got better.
What is your considerable?
There's going to be situations during the season where he might not have the best of games. Are we putting too much on a guy who's going into his second year?
What's your tell you about Baker?
No,
I say he's going to ball.
I think Baker Mayfield's a baller, but I think coaching matters in the National Football League. And when I look in the AFC North, I see two blue chip head coaches and Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh.
I hope you're wrong.
All right, guys, I want to get to our Twitter poll question. We give it out to the fans. We asked, who is the Cowboys' most irreplaceable player, Dak or Zeke? 74% said Zeke is the most irreplaceable player. So, guys, real quick before we go, do you expect this deal to be done by tomorrow's show?
I think it's a done deal or he wouldn't be on a plane.
By the time we go off air, this deal should be announced.
It's done already.
I think it'll be a wrap today.